زي الفل كده. So now
تمام.
we
السلام
are
عليكم
recording.
ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. كل
وعليكم
سنة وانتم
السلام ورحمة
طيبين.
الله وبركاته.
حابة أبدأ زي ما كل يوم بنبدأ مع مستر محمد إبراهيم. بفكركم بأهم حاجة في حياتنا، هم إخواتنا في فلسطين. ما ننساهمش من الدعاء، ما ننساهمش من المقاطعة. مش عايزة أقول لكم إن إحنا لما بنعمل كده مش علشانهم، والله علشاننا، اللي هو يا رب أنا حاولت أعمل حاجة حتى لو بسيطة. فدي أهم حاجة يا جماعة، وأنتوا بتفطروا وأنتوا بتعملوا أي حاجة قبل ما تقولوا يا رب كذا، قولوا يا رب إخواتنا. أهم حاجة، أول حاجة نذكرهم في دعائنا قبل الحاجات اللي إحنا محتاجينها أو الحاجات اللي إحنا عايزينها من ربنا. دي أهم حاجة. وطبعا المقاطعة ما تنسوش يا جماعة، ما تستهونوش أي منتج ما تشتروه. لو مش عارفين، لا، ابحثوا عنه قبل ما تشتروا أي حاجة، لان احنا فعلا كده، يعني احنا لو بنشتري منتجاتهم يبقى احنا فعلا بندعمهم بشكل مباشر جدا. دي اهم حاجه ان انا حبيت ان انا اقولها زي ما احنا متعودين كل يوم في السيشن. دلوقتي بقى النهارده معانا ليله رمضانيه جديده مع دكتور محمد، وهو من الناس من اول ما بدانا رمضان نايتس لازم ينورنا كل سنه، ودي ثالث سنه معانا ان شاء الله، ودايما منورنا عقبال المره ال20 باذن
Time
الله.
flies. أنا بطلت أعد على فكرة.
منورنا دايما والله، وكل السيشنز بتاعتك ممتعه ما شاء الله،
ربنا
ودايما
يخليك.
منورنا.
Thank you so
يعني انت
much.
من اصحاب المكان خلاص.
ربنا يخليكي. طبعا طبعا.
فان شاء الله
أهم
اسيبكم
حاجة
بقى
بس
تستمتعوا مع
كلمي مستر محمد إبراهيم، بس خليه يلحقنا في الدعاء قبل ما يمشي. يعني وهو
هقول
موجود
له ان
كده، لا
شاء
ادعي لنا
الله.
وهو هناك.
هقول له اكد
وحضرتك
عليكم
موجودة هناك
باذن الله.
بالمرة، ادعي لنا كمان.
ان شاء الله انا هدعي لكم برضه ان شاء الله، انا راح اعمل عمره
أشكرك.
برضه هبقى ادعي لكم باذن الله.
يا رب يا رب، آمين.
الله اسيب لحضرتك بقى، وعشان الناس تستمتع بكل دقيقه مع حضرتك.
Thank you so much. And
انا
good evening. How's
مصر.
everything? I hope everything is okay with all of you. Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim and Mrs. Mahasokka, for having me over. And I believe one doesn't get the privilege to be here every day. Uh, رمضان كريم، كل سنة وحضراتكم طيبين وبعود الأيام. ربنا يجعلها بداية خير وبداية سعادة ورخاء علينا جميعا، ودعواتكم لإخواتنا الفلسطينيين وإخواتنا المسلمين المحاصرين في قطاع غزة. ربنا ينصرهم ويحميهم وينجيهم بإذن الله. Um, I'm happy to be here for the third time, I believe. I lost counting. But when I was asked to give this lecture, actually, I was thinking about um, presenting something that is that's new, that's challenging, that's extraordinary. So some of you know that I'm a translator. I'm a lecturer of translation and interpreting in certain universities. I'm gonna introduce myself in the beginning, but I was thinking I'm not talking about translation as a profession, but I'm going to talk about how to teach translation and the interpreting and also lexis and vocab and so on, everything that's related to translation and interpreting. So I think this is something new that we want to talk about because, you know, in our universities, in our academic institutions, we don't have certain books or certain references to refer back to when we want to teach such courses. But it doesn't matter if you are a translator or not. It doesn't matter if you are an interpreter or not. You may be having a classroom that you have to teach somehow bilingual courses. It doesn't have to be translation or interpreting. It can be vocabulary, it can be lexicography, and anything that is related also to translation and interpreting. But in the beginning, before indulging into our material, let me first introduce myself. This is Dr. Muhammad Amer. By the way, you can call me Muhammad, you can call me Amer. I love being called Amer. I really love this name, and it's the name of my son as well. So I'm a lecturer in English linguistics and specialized translation and interpreting as well. Faculty of Alson and Technical Languages at the Egyptian Russian University. And I see that I'm having some of my dear students on board tonight. Hello, hello, guys. I'm also a lecturer and specialized interpreting. The credit our program CHB at the ST in the Cairo University, and I also see some of my dear students. Yes, some of them are already there. Hello, guys. Long time no see. I'm gonna see you tomorrow online, inshallah. And um, down here you can see my contact details. You can contact me anytime. By the way, I'm really open for this. This is my WhatsApp number, okay, and this is my email address. And you also can find me on on LinkedIn. This is my account, and also you can find me with the same name and the same writing method on Facebook. And so, really happy to be followed by all of you. So, thank you so much again, and let's start our session. But let me first talk about certain steps that we're going to follow tonight. Number one, I'm gonna talk about the old school in teaching, translation, interpreting, and any course that is bilingual. So we have old school that I also call the bad guy, and we have a modern school, a new school that I want to call a good guy. After that, I will move to how to teach bilingual courses through the use of receptive and productive skills. You know, when we're talking about translation and interpreting, we're talking about the four skills. We have two receptive skills and we have two productive skills. So we will discuss this tonight and how to use them in teaching bilingual courses. Um, Fourth, we will move forward into teaching through technology. And by the way, I have some gifts and I have some important applications and programs to be used and utilized tonight. All free, all for free, by the way. So you don't have to pay any penny for this. So a lot of AI and technology and everything. Moving forward with teaching lexicography and any subject or course that is related to vocabulary or lexis. This is very important, and I'll tell you how to do this with the use of a very important rubric, which moves us to the final part, which is tips and gifts. Yes, this is right. I'm having some gifts. I'll forward you some gifts tonight in order to use, and all of them are for free unless they are not called gifts. Okay, so let's uh, um, apologies if I'm coughing a lot tonight. I got cold recently, but wish me luck and wish me quick recovery because I want to recover my good voice. Oh, thank you. Okay. So let me tell you first about the courses that I already designed and taught in different academic institutions and universities. This will be an introduction to our session tonight in order to tell you how these courses are used to be taught and nowadays how they are being taught. So I started my academic experience at South Carolina University. So I there designed and taught introduction to translation, translation into Arabic, and also translation into English. This was my beginning and my start in South Carolina University, and it was amazing, by the way. But there was somehow an old school. I'll talk about this later and tell you how the old school can find the modern school even in these days. I moved forward to Port Said University. I hope there are people from Ismailia and Port Said and Cairo here tonight. Port Said University, I designed and taught three courses: United Nations and Legal Translation, also media and subtitle translation, and finally with the introduction to lexicography, which moves us to the importance of teaching lexicography and vocabulary in our academic institutions. Um, Nowadays I'm working on designing and teaching actually several courses and several subjects in two main universities, two esteemed universities. Number one is Cairo University, where I'm designing and teaching also signed and consecutive interpreting. So aside from translation, I'm teaching also interpreting. This is one and two, or like grade two and grade three. So we have two main subjects like this. I'm designing and teaching. And finally, with my dear students from the Egyptian Russian University Faculty of Alton, I'm having two subjects over there. Course number one is English as a foreign language, or EFL or ESL, whatever you want. And course two is Political and Journalistic Translation. I hope my students are already there and you have a quiz. Uh, I'm marking your quizzes, by the way, tonight, and I hope you get high marks. So aside from this, let me admit some people are still knocking our doors. Let me first tell you more about how translation and interpreting are taught in our universities, in our academic institutions here in Egypt. Talking about Egypt, and talking also about certain Arab institutions and universities because they all use the same strategy. actually how university professors and how instructors of translation and interpreting and also vocabulary and lexicography, how they use their classrooms, how they teach um, um, these bilingual courses. If you do remember how we and universities maybe my university life was like from 2006 to 2010. Oh my God, time flies. So it's what, like 14 years ago. I'm yeah, I have some gray hair here. But let me tell you that the university or the university professor used to send some assignments up front. So before the week that we are studying the translation subject or whatever we're studying, so the professor takes our names and he sends us some assignments up front. Actually, there has been a lot of lacking behind in professional vocabulary learning. So you do have to look for methods to memorize the vocabulary, to know how to learn this vocabulary on your own. So these professors, these instructors didn't teach us how to learn vocab. Um, Actually, the biggest problem in this is the lack of following up with the students. Actually, it was a very bad problem because a lot of us were in a very bad need in order to be followed up because we have been in a problem with following up and knowing our academic achievement and knowing our certain achievements. And of course, we're having a lot of quizzes and a lot of midterms and a lot of assignments to be followed up, but no one is following up with us. So what's happening? So I'm sending an assignment. Next time, I'm giving you a passage to translate. So goodbye. So hello, goodbye, and we're going home. So this is how to translate or how to teach translation in our university classes. Till these days, some universities and some academic institutions actually depend on this very old strategy, and also dependence on group quizzes. Actually, this was a very bad strategy in order to give marks, in order to mark papers quickly. Some university professors depended on giving us quizzes in group ways, not individually, so I can cheat from my colleague, from my mates, and it's not my own academic achievement. This is what really matters at the end. In order to facilitate how I'm marking my papers as a university professor, I'm going to have a lot of papers, so they facilitate and they just getting group quizzes, but no one is following. No one is focusing on how Muhammad is doing with his academic achievement, or Sarah, or whoever is in our classes. And finally, actually, it was 14 years ago, and I know this is old, but actually, up to these days, there is zero technology teaching, and a lot of university professors still using the same modern archaic methods in teaching bilingual courses. Zero technology. Actually, the biggest technology that they ever add is the projector, the presentations, and then they just play the presentations and they keep talking all the time in Arabic or in English. It doesn't matter to them, but actually they don't depend on technology. They don't have any labs for interpreting. They don't have any AI applications, or even their mobile phones are old and they don't use any dictionaries. They don't use any methods in teaching translation or interpreting. This is the old rusty strategy. So what about what's happening right now? But first, you need to know your students well. Who are your students? Who is listening to you? Who is attending your classes? Um, Actually, there are in any bilingual course, there are all kinds of students. Number one, which is actually the majority of students are grumpy because they maybe this is maybe due to previous or non-professional teaching strategies. I hate this professor. I hate this man. I hate that one because they kept shouting. They kept giving us assignments, quizzes, midterms, exams, and everything. So if I'm it is recording, by the way. It's recording. Never mind. Never mind. It's not a big deal. So let's get back to our business. So um, I had this student who comes to me and tell me that some professors, some previous professors just told them that they are bad, that they are not working hard enough. So I always call them grumpy students, but they are actually victims of these bad strategies. So it may be due to previous non-professional strategy in teaching, or maybe the material itself is actually lagging behind. Um, kind as the retrograde student, uh, which can actually stem from non-professional academic course material. Material itself is lagging behind, is old, is archaic, is repeated. You know that very costly to print university book every single semester in order to give or to teach this course. And that's why on PPT files, on AI files, on I'm not depending on any books because if I'm going to print this book every single semester, this will be very costly. They'll be highly expensive, and it can be developed. It can be uploaded or updated. It's very um, a negative point on our hand. Uh, Student number three, which is my favorite as well, as the first timer. The first time student, he has no previous experience or feedback on any material or any instructor or professor. So actually, I love this one because it's like a raw material that I can shape, I can formulate the way that I want. And the least, uh, the least student is the high achieving students. Actually, if we have been developed or updated or taught well in the previous years, actually, the students will be the majority of our students. But actually, is loving, caring, proactive, and with students, which makes them very few in our classes. And our goal is to make all of our students like between the first timer students because they are proactive and they are enthusiastic and everything, and the high achieving students. So we want to get rid of the grumpy students and also the retrograde students in order to move back to the first time student and also the um, highly achieving students. So we've been discussing the old school. Now let's move more into the new school or the good guy school. So um, I really have a very important quote here from Department of Education in the Victoria state government. It says that the most effective way to teach a vocabulary is to show how new words relate to other words, ones that the students already know. So I'm going to give you examples right now, but it's very important to explicitly teach the relationships between words. And you do remember how we were taught a vocabulary, like for example, a word like infrastructure. So in bilingual classes, but actually you can speak Arabic or English or vice versa interchangeably because actually are translating. But um, in our translation and the interpreting classes, we were like using a word like infrastructure, as I told you. So infrastructure in Arabic means البنية التحتية, but actually when we want to memorize these words, it was like infrastructure البنية التحتية, infrastructure البنية التحتية. We keep repeating the same expression, the same word. And so we have two main problems here. Number one is that drilling is a very archaic and a very old way in teaching bilingual courses. And number two, you will forget. Actually, you are memorizing only words, not phrases, not compounds, not phrasal verbs, not collocations. You are just using words, a lot of words, maybe hundreds or thousands of words, and the next very day you can, or the same day you can actually forget the words that you have been learning for several hours, by the way. So in order to teach a word or an expression, you can use as a variables. For example, I have a very common example here, which is the word gate. So gate in Arabic means bawaba. However, in this example, I would like to have my students learning and eliciting the meaning of the word get when it's a suffix. So we have different formulas of the word get when it's a suffix. So it's not bawaba anymore. It's a scandal when That's preceded by Watergate. So you know Watergate, it's a scandal in America. Iran Gate, Sherry Gate, Monica Gate, Party Gate, Close Gate, Slab Gate, or either um, Pandora Gate. So how many words did you knew as new words from the word gate? So you're not only learning the meaning of gate. Actually, you have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. You have new eight words, new eight expressions, new eight experiences that you will get no information from only one word. So you do not have to give us words. Just people just go and memorize a lot of words, and the next time I'll have you memorizing, and I'll give you a quiz on these words. Actually, this is nothing. It's archaic. So when you tell your students to put more effort on this in order to elicit words, to get more expressions from the stem word. And when you turn the stem word or the stem into a suffix, so get is not here a stem, it's a suffix. So we have like 8 words extra here. So I think this is a very nice way in order to add certain vocabs to your bank of vocab, which needs to be huge actually when you are an EFL learner. When you learn translation and interpreting, actually you need like 8,000 new words in order to be intermediate, between intermediate and upper intermediate. So how can you reach this big amount of words from this strategy? So you can turn a stem, you can turn a stem into a suffix, and then you can actually get new words. And actually it works on the other way around, when you can a suffix into a stem, and then you can elicit the meaning of each. So we have 2 exercises here to give your students. Number one, you can ask them to elicit the meaning through a suffix. So the word gate is not anymore a stem, it's a suffix. Exercise number two, you can also make a list of gate scandals and controversies. So you don't have to ask them for the translations of these words, but you can also make them elicit the information behind these expressions. Like for example, I do remember Watergate. Watergate was the scandal of the American President Richard Nixon in the 70s of the last century. So when you give your students an exercise like this, they gain information, they gain new words, and they gain new translations. So it's not only about translation; it's about gaining new information and expressions from the very same word. Actually, another exercise that's very important when you turn the word, when you turn a stem into another expression. Actually it's this time you are adding a word before the stem, or even after it. But actually this exercise is very important in order to give your student a lot of meanings from only one word, from only one example. For example, here we have a word like money. All of us actually know what the word money means in Arabic. Means فلوس, مال, أي حاجة. However, when you put like key money, so we have a stem and stem. So we have 2 stems here, key and money, key and money. So what about blood money, hot money, earnest money, funny money, pocket money, dirty money, and hush money? Actually, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and another eight words in order to add to your bank of vocabulary. This is very important in order to make your students elicit the meaning of these suffixes, of these stems, of these different compounds. Actually, this can also be exercise on the use of collocations in translations between Arabic and English. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So don't send questions on private. You can send them on the public. Thank you so much. So you can give your students actually 2 exercises here. Number one, you can make them elicit the meaning through suffixes. So you can use the word money as a suffix or as a stem. Number two, this is a very important exercise. You are indulging your students into the translation process itself. So you want them to translate it into Arabic and to bring the definition of every single compound, or maybe phrasal verbs, maybe collocations, whatever you want in your class. So modern creative strategies. So when Bindle talking about old and archaic schools of teaching, translation, and interpreting any bilingual course that you are teaching. Number one, you also need to send your assignments up front. This is usual. Actually, it was in the old school and will keep remaining in the sorry, keep remaining in the modern creative strategy. So this is very important in order to create or to open WhatsApp groups in order to add your own students. So appearing before them, before your first class, you need to send assignments. You need to send something to prepare upfront. So this is another changing strategy. Number two, asking for information, not translation. So I'm not giving translations from the first time. It's not like take this word, I want its translation. This take this sentence, take this passage and translate it into Arabic or to English, whatever that you want to translate. It's not like that. You want to then make them elicit information instead of translation. So because they're not being able to translate something that they don't understand. Very important. Okay. So number three, this is moving forward into the translation process itself. Now you are eliciting the vocabulary meaning from a monolingual dictionary. Actually, we need to stop using bilingual dictionaries, which is my next point, by the way. But this is very important. You want them to elicit the meaning from the English definition of the word. For example, actually, if we got back here like an expression like blood money, so you give them a dictionary, an English dictionary, a bilingual dictionary, sorry, a monolingual dictionary, and you want them to actually guess the meaning of blood money, and then they can also elicit the translation, the Arabic translation of that expression. So this is very important. So first looking for the meaning and then looking for the translation. Finally, compiling glossaries and vocabulary banks. Actually, you are teaching them maybe hundreds, thousands of words. What they are going to do with these big amounts of words? And compounds, phrasal verbs, collocations, whatever they are learning from you. Actually, it's a very important, it's very pivotal strategy to compile glossaries, maybe in science, maybe psychology, chemistry, physics, biology, politics, journalism, whatever you are teaching, or the different registers and different levels of language you are giving them in your classes. So as long as you are keeping moving in your classroom, you want them to compile glossaries and maybe somehow bilingual lists of translations of these vocab that they are learning every lecture. Now let's move to this is a very important point, by the way. Teach through receptive and productive skills. It's very important to know that in translation and interpreting, you are using the same strategies, the same skills. So, but it differs from a translation and interpreting class. Actually, in the receptive um, classroom, you are using skills like listening, reading. But actually, when you teach translation, you are depending on both receptive and also productive skills. Let me admit some attendance. Yes, actually, you're welcome. Thank you. So when you teach translation, it's like translation. You are reading and writing, so you have receptive and productive. And also when you're teaching interpreting, it can listen and speak. So it's listening and speaking at the same time. So you don't have just a receptive classroom. You don't have just a reproductive skills classroom in any bilingual classroom. So how should one teach translation and interpreting through the use of um, uh, receptive and productive skills in your classrooms? Actually, you need to know what your students and their levels of language and there are a lot of methods in order to know how to understand their English level and also in Arabic. But it's very important to start with the English because it's a second language for them. Arabic can be actually dealt with later because we are native speakers of Arabic. So actually, our Arabic can be actually postponed somehow, but to focus on English well. Actually, when you go into a translation or an interpreting classroom, actually, I want your English level to be between intermediate and upper intermediate. This is your list. So you are between B1 and B2. So actually B2A or B2B actually is very good here. So if you are my student, I'd ask you to have a placement test first in order to be admitted in my classroom. But actually, this doesn't happen in our universities. This doesn't happen in our academic institutions because we don't have time and we don't have these actually standardized tests as in the American university or other institutions. So if you want to be admitted into any translation or interpreting classroom, you need first to have a placement test in English. And it's expected from you to be between B1 and B2, between intermediate and upper intermediate. If you are there, so welcome to our classrooms. If you are somehow below than B1, you need to have for like 1 month and a half an English course, and then you can be admitted in any translation or any bilingual classroom after that. This is according to the CEFR. It's very important to know your level right now. Actually, we have a lot of free exams. Actually, you can also go to any university and get yourself placed on a test, and then you will know your English level well in order to be admitted in any bilingual course. But what does it mean to be intermediate, and what does it mean to be an intermediate? Actually, if you are intermediate, this is a skill which is enough to have you admitted in any bilingual course. But actually, learners here, when they achieve B1 intermediate level, which is the least, by the way, they can understand information about familiar topics, maybe science, maybe marine time, maybe, for example, a library, maybe um, psychology, chemistry, physics, whatever you want. So they can communicate either in most situations while traveling in an English speaking area, which is very important. Our classrooms here in Egyptian universities, you don't speak all English all the time as we used to do. But actually, you will have a space to speak some Arabic and then some English. Actually, this is usual because you are teaching bilingual, and it's called bilingual for a reason. So you have two languages, so you can guarantee that they can speak well, and also they can understand you in English or in Arabic. They can also write simple connected texts on familiar topics, which is very important for any translation. I'm talking about translation here. For any translation classroom, this is very important. Actually, the utmost level that we want in our classroom is the upper intermediate. And actually here you can understand the main ideas of a complex text. I can bring you a complex text about a historical figure, a historical event, a lot of figures, a lot of numbers, and certain details that are somehow complex or complicated. Actually, you can understand if you are upper intermediate. Your students also can interact with some fluency and communicate easily. Actually, when you teach interpreting, this will be a very handy because you want them to discuss with each other certain topics using listening, speaking skills. This will be very handy. They also can write clear, detailed texts. This is about translation classrooms, detailed texts on a wide range of topics and express their opinion. So one of the main exercises in translation is that I give my students a passage to write on a certain topic, and then they can they translate their own writing from one language to another. So it's either Arabic or English in our bilingual classrooms. Um, Actually, there are two strategies that we use in our classrooms. Number one, teaching through introductive skills, and this is very important. It makes difference. We need to make difference between introductive and productive skills. Actually, introductive skills that we can use both receptive and productive skills in our translation and interpreting classrooms through the following steps. Number one, you need to assess your students' ability first. Yes, we need to have a lot of placement tests in our universities and academic institutions. Number two, partner reading. Yes, you don't have any individual reading in your classroom if you are teaching any bilingual course. Yes, please don't give them any individual reading exercises. This is very boring and very archaic. So you have pairs, you have maybe a group that is reading the same subject and answering the same questions. Eliciting information and text background from the statement, sentence, or from researching on the text itself. Assigning vocabulary. Some of them, يعني, for example, you can assign one person or one member of that group to have a list or to make a list of vocabulary and then to share it with their peers. And finally, assign vocabulary translation. So one is listing and one is translating these vocabulary, and then they share uh, these lists with other students, with their peers actually. Receptive skills. This is very important if you are teaching translation and interpreting in the same classroom. Actually, it's not usual in our universities and academic institutions to have one course for each. However, if one time you have to actually, you also need to assess your student ability first, and then you can make groups in order to assign some of them to write, assign them to some of them to write statement sentences, and then writing the whole text. Certain people who have just higher levels in English writing, and finally you can assign some of them to review and proofread what other peers and what other colleagues wrote um, on their papers. I'm still admitting people here. Okay, thank you. But what happens actually in interpreting classes? Yes, actually, we can get back to our introductive skills when we can merge between productive and receptive skills. Number one, also you can assess your student a bit first. This happens in the very first session when you can just give them a placement test. For example, I have an example here. I can write it here in the chat box, which is EFSAT. EFSAT is one of the most important tests. Let me read it here. Yes, EF set. It's for free. It's for free. You can just go to Google and write EFSAT. You can just go there. And actually, it's very important for you to do this and to know that it's only listening and reading. So one receptive skill is which is listening, and another receptive skill which is reading. And what they are focusing on only receptive skills, not it's not like writing and speaking, because they want to start from scratch with you. So actually, you will have this over in your classrooms in in the very first day. So assess their linguistic abilities first. This is very important, and then they can get back to you with their scores, and then you can give them feedback. Also, you can use partner listening. They can speak. You can assign teams. You can give them topics in order to make only one person speak, and then make other students listen to them, and then asking them questions. You can also give them some audio files to elicit information from. Also, vocabulary listing. It's like the translation class when you assign some students to make lists of vocabulary, and then other students to translate these lists from one language to another. So it doesn't have to be English all the time. It can be English, Arabic, Arabic, English. So you can also give them audios in Arabic. So you can actually imagine that you have a podcast in Arabic, and then they can listen to it, elicit information, and then they put them some words that they expect that they don't know the meaning of or the translation of, and then certain students can actually translate these words from Arabic into English. This gives us a deeper background on how to teach interpreting through receptive skills. Actually, this is very pivotal. You can use group speaking. They can speak to each other. So some of them are speaking, some of them are listening, and those who are listening, they can be speaking after a while. You can also this is what we call role play speaking. So I'm once speaking, and then after a few minutes I can be a listener. Finally, you can also assign chunking interpreting teams. This will be handy in consecutive and simultaneous interpreting classrooms. When you chunk certain audio files. You can chunk certain YouTube videos in order to make them um, listen carefully, do shadowing, do parroting in order to move their listening and speaking skills forward. For example, I have this very important exercise, and I have a lot of audio files, by the way. I'll give them, give you a link of them by the end of this classroom. Um, Audio files. They are talking about fruits, vegetables, sports, whatever they want, but in a very, very chunked audios, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So you can chunk every single audio into only 5 seconds. So keep listening to this audio 5 seconds, 5 seconds. So I can train myself on two main skills. Number one, shadowing. I keep repeating what I'm listening to, and then I can translate it from one language to another, whether it's in English or in Arabic. So you have two skills here in hand. Uh, Moving forward through teaching through technology, and this is the funniest thing about our classroom tonight. You can use technology to teach any bilingual classroom. Actually, technology is very handy here, but through the use of technology and AI, you can actually, I really blame my own professors and instructors that they didn't give us any background on how to use technology to elicit the meaning of a word or an expression. Just like a paper dictionary, you can just move to El Mawrid or to Elias, to any dictionary that you can bring the word from, and then you can memorize بيبور يعني ناس, بيبور يعني ناس, man يعني راجل. However, this is a very boring strategy. And by the way, at the same في اليوم نفسه, in the same very day, you can just forget what you just memorized. Actually, this is a very bad strategy. People, technology is evolving. Number one, you can depend on from the right side from you can depend on monolingual decks. You can use monolingual dictionaries like one look Gillespie have a very long list here. You can also move to a bilingual dictionary, and then you can also use applications. Actually, you didn't open a paper dictionary, and I know a lot of my students who came to me after classes, doctor, can we use this El Mawrid dictionary, which actually in paper? So I tell them you can use it this year, you can use it next year, third year, fourth year. But what happens after that? So it becomes archaic, it becomes old, it's not updated. But actually, an electronic dictionary is very important because it's updated every single minute. Every single minute you can log in this dictionary and you find a new vocab over there. So actually, you can give your students links in applications, files to make them look for expressions, phrases, codes, whatever you want on these dictionary. But it's not like only words and something like that. It's, we have also abbreviations and acronyms. In one class, I was, was just working on abbreviations and acronyms through the use of UN term, the United Nations terminology website, acronym finder. So it was a whole class for like 2 hours. We were looking and eliciting abbreviations without even looking for them in dictionaries or websites. Actually, also translating codes is very important in our business. So when you get this code, you don't know who said it. It looks like a code, but you don't know who the speaker was. So you don't know when it's said. So you can look for them on these websites. It's very important to look for them on certain verified websites. And finally, slang. If you're translating an audiovisual file, a TV series, a movie or documentary, or whatever you want, it's using uh, maybe substandard, maybe even suburban languages. So you can have a lot of expressions that you would not have their meaning from traditional or conventional dictionaries. So you can look for them on Urban, Dare, Wordsmith, or Lingui. So till now, no paper, only technology, only websites, only applications. But actually, it's we now can depend on AI, on artificial intelligence. And I always tell my students that we can use technology but wisely. So it's not like putting the whole text like what happens here, putting the whole text in on DeepL or Google Translate or whatever the website or the application that I'm using. It's not like that because we have still have problems. Still, we need the MTPE, which is machine translation post editing. So you can get the text from the application itself, and then you can put your own human touch on it. So actually, this is a very dangerous process. I always advise my students to put only a phrase, only a sentence, only a word, only a compound, a collocation in order to look for the meaning. However, when you put the whole text, you will have problems. We're talking about some disruptive translations here. We're talking about some literal translations, and even in a single simple text like this, there's still a lot of mistakes that you can easily spot. So this is the difference between DeepL, Microsoft Bing, and also ChatGPT. Actually, one exercise is to give them only one passage to put it on the three applications. Actually, they are for free, all of them, and then you can make them to compare between the three translations and choose which is better and why it's better. So this is a very good strategy in order to make them not only criticize translation, modify translation, humanize translation, but also to know what makes or what distinguishes one translation to another. So they are not translating actually, they are just reviewing or proofreading. But then you can move forward into changing their mentality from the archaic translations into the machine translations, and moving from actually translating through your hands, through yourself, into MTPE, which is machine translation post editing. So this is a very nice strategy to follow. Actually, this is my own business. This is DeepL, Microsoft Bing, and finally ChatGPT. I was talking to ChatGPT, and it gave me a very good translation, by the way. But actually, it can be criticized, it can be humanized as well. So when you finish translating a text, you can also humanize it, proofreading, review it, and then to deliver it to your professor or instructor. Actually, these are examples of certain applications you can use to make your students translate certain texts, and then they can compare between these applications. For example, if you can assign them a text on copy.ai, on Gemini, on Sonics, and then you can ask them to compare between the three translation, which is better, which is worse, and why. Okay, so they can bring you elements. So it's not like translating all the time. It's like criticizing and know how to develop their mentality. Interpreting is very important to know that we are not only sitting in booth in order to give translations, in order to give interpreting in national and multinational conferences. You can also put yourself in electric. Actually, all of these applications are for free. Apply, Acadu, Quaqua, and whatever the application you're using, you can just sit in your home, in your office, open these applications for free, and then you are inside a booth, inside a real booth, unless it's electronic. Okay, so you are here interpreting, listening to interpreters, chatting with interpreters. You are live. It's a real time booth without spending a penny on it. Okay, let's move forward into teaching lexicography, which is very important actually. When you're teaching bilingual courses, you need to teach vocab, lexicography. You want them to make glossaries, dictionaries in order to memorize these words, in order to broaden their mentalities about words and expressions. So we don't have to look for these words every single time. I don't make my students look for the same words every single time, because they have to memorize and they also have to look for them. But it's very important here to know that I made this a chart through my students. So I asked, I have the actual number here, like, yes, I have like, yes, 301 students from Cairo University and also Egyptian Russian University. I asked them what kind of dictionaries and glossaries they are using in their in their assignments, quizzes, or whatever they are translating. And actually, it was shocking to know that the majority of them are using still using translation engines. I'm not talking about applications. I'm not talking about electronic applications or electronic dictionaries. They are using Google Translate. So the majority of them are using translation engines. Still, they are also using glossaries, but electronic, like Ilmaani, like Wordsmith, like UN Term. These are glossaries that are specialized in certain topics. So it's like 85% are using glossaries, which is actually positive. Um, After that, they are using online dictionaries. Online dictionaries actually can be a positive point and can be a negative point as well, because we have a lot of dictionaries that are not verified, that are not accurate enough to give you down translation of the words. They are also using pocket dictionaries, and actually, this was shocking to me because 65% of them are using pocket dictionaries. And pocket dictionaries, you can I don't even have a I don't have a pocket dictionary uh, since I was a student in the university 14 years ago, and I felt like 65% of them still having pocket dictionaries because they have money and then they go to the library, they just get dictionaries, a pocket dictionary, and actually it can be updated, it can get archaic after 5 years, 10 years, and then you can throw it away. What was more shocking is that they are still using uh, bilingual dictionaries. So the least percentage here was the using my monolingual dictionaries. So when I asked them why are not using monolingual dictionaries, they tell me that it's difficult to use. It's like I'm looking for the Arabic word, and the monolingual dictionary doesn't give me the Arabic word. And then it's our rule here to make them illicit the word. It's not like wow, I got this Arabic word and then I memorized it. You need to move your bones. You need to use some cells from your mind in order to look for the words, and then you can elicit their Arabic translation from their own definition. So we need to raise awareness about using monolingual dictionaries more in our universities and academic institutions. I have here some very interesting methods in order to make your students more interested in compiling dictionaries and glossaries. Number one, compiling glossaries in order to provoke a feeling of positive entitlement and intellectual property with their names labeled. And every single semester, when I teach a bilingual course, I make my students compile a glossary, and then I put my name on it, of course, because I'm the instructor himself. But their names are included. Their names, and they are like from 16 years old to like 21. They're young. They're still I don't know. They're like 14 years younger than me, but when they find their names, they don't have experience, they don't have any kind of expertise, and when they find their names on the glossary and it's a PDF file, they feel like proud of themselves. They feel like they have, yes, we have intellectual property, we made something good. Okay, so it provokes them to compile glossaries. And one project of mine was the glossary of terms concerning the Israeli aggression on Gaza. Um, it was the last semester in Cairo University, and I really salute my students who managed to put like 300 pages of effort on this. Compiling literary devices like similes, metonymies, metaphors, puns, and alliterations in Arabic and in English, and their examples from Arabic poetry and from English speaking poetry. And it's very important to make lists like bilingual texts. This is a pun, and I have an example on pun in Arabic poetry and English poetry, similes, metonymies, whatever they have, because this will also actually change their mentality about using literary devices. Finally, compiling model translation. Yes, I'm talking about all texts translated from one language to another, and they can make two tables of two columns, and then they can compare between English and Arabic, then a row, and then a separator, for example, and then another text from Arabic to English or vice versa in order to compare between them. And also, this will be a reference in order to make them um, finally, a little tip to finish this. If you're teaching a bilingual course, if you're teaching a translation, interpreting, lexicography class, actually you'll need a rubric in order to assess your own students, how they are translating, how they are interpreting their text. So actually a very useful rubric here is very important in order to measure how your students are how to what extent they are fluent, and what about their logical cohesion, sense consistency, completeness of the text and the meaning itself, grammar, which is very important, by the way. A lot of my students need to focus on this, terminology, which is the essence of translation, and finally style. So you can compile these rubrics together, and every single class you can use them in order to by the end of the semester you can find a matrix on how your students achieved their academic development. Uh, Finally, I'm ending this presentation right now, but actually you can scan this QR code below in order to get some rubrics on how to evaluate and assess the academic development and achievement of your students in any bilingual class. So you can find this one here, but there are dozens of there are dozens of quizzes and rubrics on this link on Google Drive. By the way, they are PDF files, Word files, and also PNG and JPG files, pictures and images. You can download easily from this QR code. It's easy. I'm gonna leave this here in order to make you scan it, so you can download. It's open. It's an open access link. You can actually download everything from here. And by the way, I'm keeping updating them, so you can just have this link on your notes, on your Telegram, or whatever you want. Scan it, and then you can save the link, and you can revisit maybe every single day. I'm having a lot of material to upload on this folder. So actually, I'd like to thank Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim and Mrs. Maha for having me over. Actually, it wasn't too long, I know, but actually, I really enjoyed having you over and um, actually presenting this for the first time. I know it's difficult and I know it's somehow complex, but actually you can find yourself in any bilingual course any day. But this is the way that we want to develop a profession. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, I'm here. Thank you.
حضرتك والله نورتنا جدا النهارده، وعقبال كل سنه باذن الله.
العفو، تسلمي لي، شكرا جزيلا. شباب، الكيو ار كود موجود هنا. ابعت لكم اللينك مباشره.